Cosmopolacy to niezależny projekt tworzony z pasji do rozmów i ciekawych ludzi. Jeżeli podoba Ci się to, co robię, możesz postawić mi wirtualną kawę i wesprzeć powstawanie kolejnych odcinków. Wystarczy zeskanować kod QR widoczny na ekranie lub skorzystać z linku znajdującego się w opisie odcinka. Dziękuję za Twoje wsparcie. Did music help save you during difficult periods?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me solace. It gave me comfort. It gave me a sense of not feeling alone many times, feeling connected to myself, feeling connected to these artists that had amazing stories to tell and had amazing philosophies that gave me strength. I wouldn't be able to put in my whole creative personality into just singing jazz music. And so, yeah, it was a conscious decision to do things differently, to do things that are, not what's expected of me.
Yeah.
And Mika is one of those artists I see that just like, let's just do it. And Mika's dad was very much like, very similar like that. You know, just to be able to just do things and let's just see where it goes, like especially live on stage, you know. But I'm always thinking about what's going on. Was this, and to be able to do that is like what's the word? It's liberating to be able to do that. And there's few artists that do it.
Definitely.
That can say, you know, let's do it. And that, because that's when the magic happens.
Welcome to Cosmopolacy podcast, a place for laid-back, uncensored conversations with extraordinary guests. On behalf of the host, I'd love for you to subscribe and leave a rating.
How do you find your own voice when you grow up in a home shaped by two extraordinary artists? Mika Urbaniak was surrounded by music from an early age. Her parents, Michał Urbaniak and Urszula Dudziak, became important figures in Polish culture, but for Mika, for many years, they were simply her mother and father. In the first part of our conversation, Mika speaks about her childhood, artistic freedom, family emotions, and the pressure that came with her name and the expectations of others. Together with Victor Davies, she also talks about the beginning of their relationship, their creative partnership, and what it takes to combine love with many years of making music together. This is also an exceptionally honest conversation about addiction, bipolar disorder, therapy, recovery, and the moment Mika understood that her life had to change completely. Can music truly help save a person? Welcome to the first part of my conversation with Mika Urbaniak and Victor Davies. Mika, Victor, welcome to Cosmopolacy podcast. It's really great to have both of you here. Today, I would love to talk not only about music and your upcoming album, but also about identity, creativity, relationships, healing, life between cultures, and the journey that brought both of you to this moment together. And I also have to say this feels very special to me personally because a few years ago I interviewed your father, Michał Urbaniak, and after that conversation I became friends with Michał and his wife Dorota. So in some ways this feels like continuing a story that began a few years ago. Thank you both for being here.
Thank you so much.
I always think that artists are shaped long before they ever step into a studio. By the people around them, the atmosphere they grow up in, the sounds they hear as children. Mika, what is your earliest memory connected to music?
Rhythm Nation, Janet Jackson. We are a part of the Rhythm Nation. And doing all the steps and following the music video. That was one of my earliest memories. And I remember being captivated by the power and by also the topic of sociological issues and just empowerment. And those were one of my earliest memories.
Mm-hmm. Growing up with parents like Mika Urbaniak and Urszula Dudziak, did you understand as a child how extraordinary they were?
No, it took me a while. They were like doing their thing in the background and I was just like doing my own thing. And my older sister, I have an older sister, Kasha, a year and a half older, and we were kind of just doing our own thing. And I think in my late teens, I started to realize the power and the incredible imagination and what they did, what they accomplished musically, and the fact that they left Poland when they did and all of that. And it started to hit me like in my teens, my late teens, and I would have these parties at school and in the in the what do you call it? The studentiak? Nie studentiak.
Studniówka?
Nie studniówka.
Dorm?
In the dorm.
In a dorm, okay. Academic.
Academic. And I would play my parents' music, and my friends would just go wild, and I would go wild, and we'd just go crazy. I'd be like, oh my God, this is so amazing. And I'd write to my dad, like, how did you write this? And to my mom, like, how did you guys do this? It was just so incredible. But I had to be a little older. It wasn't until like then, my late teens.
It must have been an extraordinary experience. What did your home feel like creatively when you were growing up?
Creatively?
Yeah, creatively.
Everyone was kind of doing their own thing. It was a very artistic environment in the sense of us being quite independent. It was It was a bit chaotic. It was a bit. There was some drama. There was some difficulty, personally wise. There was a lot of things going on. Creatively was like, I think the main part of it was the independence. Like we were all kind of in our own worlds, and we could nurture, and I could nurture my love for music through my own prism, through my own what I was attracted to as a child and as a teenager. There was no sense of like, oh, let's sit down and you have to listen to this music or that music. It was like a conglomeration of just like all of our personalities and all of our tastes kind of in like one big crazy mess.
What is one thing you inherited from your father artistically?
I think my deep emotion sensitivity to hearing music. When I hear something that's very intensely beautiful, I cry, and we cry together. We used to cry together listening to music all the time. And I think maybe that sensitivity, that incredible emotional sensitivity to hearing beautiful music.
Yeah, your father was all about music. I mean, I heard stories, your friends and his friends told me stories about him calling them in the middle of the night because he had some music idea for them, some new beat or new idea. So he was for me, and for everybody, I guess, in the music world, he was a musical genius. And what about your mother? What did you inherit emotionally or spiritually from her?
I think the sense of innocence and the sort of sense of being carefree and playfulness and positivity and this kind of childlike sense of, like I said, innocence and sort of seeing the same thing with new eyes all the time. In that way, I think the most.
Nice. Did you ever feel pressure growing up around such strong artistic personalities?
Yeah, I did. I did feel pressure. I did feel pressure when I came into the scene. When I did my first album, after my first album, my solo album that I did with this British producer before I hooked up with Victor, there were periods of time where I did feel pressure. I did feel like, but it came more from the environment, like going to interviews and people asking, I don't know, the idea that you have to live up to some sort of
Big name
idea
expectations.
Expectations of who you're supposed to be, in being compared to what my parents have accomplished and everything. But after some time and after some work on myself and after some just being and growing up, I've been able to have much more distance to it and realize that I'm a unique artist, I'm a unique person, and I have my own things to say, and I have my own path to follow. And I just need to remind myself that all the time.
Definitely. We'll talk about your music a little later. Victor, when you first met Mika's family and understood the world she came from, what fascinated you most about it?
I think the thing families are very, very complicated. They all have individual personalities, and I think what I noticed with Mika's family was they all have very strong personalities. I think that I always say that there's two things with regards to people that have profile or success. I'm kind of not impressed by it, just as a natural thing. But then also coming from London to Warsaw and not having that history, it was really good for me because I can meet people in that fame, but they're just people. I just talk to them,
Yeah.
But with Mika's family, I think that they were very strong individuals. Like Kashi's very strong. Ula's very strong in what she does with music, and Michael was the same. And one of the first experiences I had was we all met at Christmas, and so you can imagine Christmas is a very emotional time anyway.
Definitely.
And when I never forget that Mika's dad Michael said, "I want to play some music," and I don't know how old he must have been then. 17.
It was about 15 years ago.
Yeah, and a grown man is playing me music and he started to cry. And I'd never kind of experienced that level of deep emotion for something that's just music. I'm emotional about music.
Yeah.
But having the ability to do that in front of a virtual stranger as well means that was really intense. That was so important to him, that so I had an emotion of being, I don't know what to do, but plus also being very impressed by that, to be able to do that, that meant so much to him,
Yeah, great. Partnerem dzisiejszego odcinka jest Synergia Polska Energia. Jeżeli chcesz sprawdzić, czy Twoja firma może płacić mniej za energię elektryczną, więcej informacji uzyskasz pod numerem 727 636 515 lub pod adresem energia@synergia.pe.pl, a z hasłem Kosmopolacy otrzymasz dodatkowy 5% rabat. Could you immediately see how deeply music was part of her identity?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, when I first met Mika, it was a funny story. We was singing with Smolik, Andre Smolik, and I walked into the sound check that they had. I can't remember if I'd already recorded with Smolik, but we came to do a concert, and Mika had her fingers in her ears because the feedback was going, and everyone was all kind of chaos and stuff. But and then gradually, as I got to know Mika, I saw that the video of is it Strona, where you're rapping and you're like
Spona.
13 years old, and then I began to, as I say, it's like you're just people, and then you start seeing this weight of this history and how important they are in Polish culture, and that happens quite a lot. It even happens with my art and stuff, because you meet lots of people, and because I have that history of London,
Definitely.
and the Beatles and the Stones and all this stuff, and I meet those people like, wow. And then everyone else, if you don't know their history, it's just like, oh, I either like you or I don't like you. And then people say, do you know who that is?
Yeah.
It's like, no. It's like so it's really liberating to not have that baggage.
Yeah, definitely.
And you just take people, oh, I really like that person. It's like, oh, actually, that's
Definitely. And I must say that, growing up in England or growing up in the States, you're much more open to people.
Yeah.
Like it's my experience is like, it doesn't matter if it's the president of the United States or if it's, this big celebrity.
Yeah.
I'm going to approach them anyway on the street and I'll be talking to them. Of course, I know their statue and, and their level, but I'm going to talk to them like they're regular people. You
Yeah.
know, if there is a vibe, there is a vibe. You
Yeah.
know, if there is nothing, I'm gonna say, okay, I'm sorry, you know, for bothering you. You know,
Yeah.
have a nice day. But yeah, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. As somebody coming from your own artistic path, did you relate to that kind of upbringing, or was it completely different from your own experience?
Yeah, it was different because there were a couple of moments in my life where music had an impact on to what I'm doing, but my family wasn't famous or anything in music. They liked music, but I think the couple of things that happened were I had an aunt, which is a really interesting story. I had an aunt, and she actually her fiance at the time was Polish, and so he's my uncle. And she always tells me this story, and it's really interesting about regret and stuff and music. And it was in the Second World War that she was offered, because she used to sing in the pubs in the East End of London,
Mm-hmm.
and she got a reputation for doing this. And they offered her to go and entertain all the British troops around the world.
Wow.
And her partner then, fiance, said, "You either go or you marry me. But if you go, it's over." And she didn't do that. And a woman replaced her called Anne Shelton. She became really famous. So that always had that story in my head about taking opportunities. Is it love, or is it, that kind of thing? And I think the another twist that I had in my life, that we had friends, and they played in a kind of 70s, 80s band called Central Line and Light of the World, which was British funk
Mm-hmm.
at the time. And I remember watching them on Top of the Pops, which is a huge TV program every week in the UK with all superstars. I remember seeing them, and then a week later, the guy being in our living room in the East End playing guitar. And what that did, it said, this is accessible.
Of course.
For most people, you don't have that access.
Definitely.
A lot of it is kind of like generational or contacts and stuff. But to have that guy in my living room, I said, wow, Victor, you can do this. And that's all it is.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Just that belief. If you have that belief, you can literally do anything.
Do anything, yeah. You just have to believe in yourself. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. This next question is for the both of you. Do you think childhood shapes artists permanently?
The trauma. honestly,
does it shape them permanently? No. I think there's certain aspects of us that are shaped, that are the core of us by childhood. And I think working on yourself and being in therapy, not only just being aware, being in loving environments that allow you to grow, in which people are honest with you and tell you what they feel about how you behave and what you do. I think a lot of it can be turned into your biggest assets in a way. It's like I think some things stay. My experience is that some things stay that you have to sort of accept and learn how to live with and manage, and then some things evolve and change and can be incredibly the negative parts. I mean, can become your biggest assets. It's just a matter of evolving and working on it and all that stuff. So that's my opinion. What's your opinion?
I think a lot of not to get on the dark side of it, but I think a lot of artists, especially great artists that you meet, are kind of their drive comes from trauma. I think a lot of times, because if you really think about it, music or even painting, being in the arts, is probably the 1%. You can't say that about almost any other industry. So if you want to go into banking, or you want to go, no one's going to say to you, well, you can go into banking or you can become an airline pilot or whatever, but it's only 1% chance.
Yeah.
It's just, there's no other industry like it, So in order to do that, you have to have so much drive. And a lot of that drive comes from people's insecurity to try and make something of themselves, to go through all of that, because it's really, really hard work. And you find that with a lot of the great artists, you know, that they have some kind of trauma that they want to overcome and express in that way, because it's kind of not realistic. You know, the industry is not like, you know, it's like 99% of music on Spotify doesn't earn any money.
Yeah.
So
It's really hard to make it
it's
that
really
business.
hard. So you have to have some kind of drive to do that, you know.
Yeah.
I think.
Early in your relationship, was there music, an artist, or maybe even a specific record that emotionally connected the two of you?
Of someone else's music.
That you both liked it and like early in your relationship?
Well, we early in our relationship we started working on an album and we were writing music together. So
So it was your music.
they're the new songs. They were new songs. But I'm trying to think what other kinds of songs that from other artists. I mean, I'd play Victor, of course, my 90s hip hop, which I absolutely love, and Tribe Called Quest, and he would play me some of his music. But I can't think of like one song that brought us together.
No, to me, it's working on that first album, like all that you.
I was
all
working
that
on
I
that
want,
first album.
and those pixelated and those kind of songs, because the lyrics were about a lot of the lyrics were about long distance. Because initially we were long distance in a relationship and stuff.
And I remember hearing "Follow You" that Victor wrote. That when I first heard, I fell so in love with him, and I fell so in love with the song, and it was just like so romantic and beautiful. Like I just, I love that. I love that. Yeah, of course I do.
See, you learn something every day.
I say it all the time.
Ten fragment rozmowy wspiera Fly, ekspert w organizacji prywatnych lotów i ekskluzywnych podróży lotniczych na całym świecie. Dla widzów i słuchaczy podcastu Kosmopolacy przygotowano specjalną ofertę. Szczegóły dostępne na colenfly.pl/VIP/Kosmopolacy. I think every artist eventually reaches a point where they stop trying to fit into expectations and begin searching for their own voice. Mika, was there a moment when you consciously thought, I need to create my own identity separate from my parents' legacy?
Yeah, I think it would have been really easy for me to go down the jazz route. And I adore jazz. I love jazz. I was raised on jazz as well, besides pop music and hip hop. But I felt like that would have been kind of like the easy route, and I wanted to be able to experiment. I wanted to be able to try different styles. I didn't want to be szufladkowana as just singing jazz and doing jazz all the time. I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to put in my whole creative personality into just singing jazz music. And so, yeah, it was a conscious decision to do things differently, to do things that are, not what's expected of me.
Yeah.
Because it bothered me to think that people expected certain things, and I didn't want to do what they expected of me.
You want to do
like
something
a
else.
rebel.
Your music blends jazz, soul, hip hop, electronic influences, and very personal songwriting. Where does that openness come from?
Where does that openness come from? I don't know. It's always been a part of me. It's always been something like when I was really little, I would dance and write poetry and write lyrics. And I think that it was just something that was always part of me. And I remember my mom getting me a journal when I was really little, and I would write a lot. And I've been journaling since I was 6 years old. And I think that helped me to sort of find my voice and nurture that openness and that searching. I don't know. It's kind of just part of who I am, like I'm really friendly. Like I think it's really easy for me to, communicate with people. I like people I'm just like chill.
I never met your mom, but of course, as I said, I met your father, and he was definitely the same. He's really people-loving person, you know.
Yeah.
And it was openness from right from the get-go, from the first meeting. It was a
Yeah.
meeting by chance, and then once we did the interview, I felt like there is a really big openness and connection. Who influenced you the most musically growing up?
Who influenced me the most musically? I think maybe my dad had a lot to do with it because he would play um Billie Holiday. He would play certain kinds of, I don't know, we had more of like the same kind of language when it came to music. Like
Mm-hmm.
I'd come and I'd play music for him and he would play certain music for me. And I think he influenced me the most. We had more similar taste and stuff, you
Okay.
know, like his whole hip hop
Yeah.
world. That was so my world. And he was so excited when I got into the hip hop. I remember hearing for the first time when I was like 13 years old, Tribe Called Quest. And I was like, what is this? This is so amazing. And then and then it turns out that like a year later or something, Tribe Called Quest sampled my dad. And it was just like, what? This is
Crazy.
crazy. And like,
Yeah.
so I think my dad's combination of jazz with hip hop uh was the language that I could more sort of understand though. Um yeah, I think maybe.
Were you more inspired by jazz musicians or by artists outside of that world, in addition to your father?
Yeah, I think by jazz musicians for sure. But it would be hard to say. I don't know. It would be hard to say. Um it would be hard to say. I think a combination,
Hmm.
like a very pure combination.
Do you remember the first song or lyric you wrote that truly felt personal?
That truly felt personal. The first thing I ever wrote was really fun and cute and innocent, and it was
Hmm.
called Cool Wave. And it was like, it had a beat, and it was like really innocent and sweet. I think I was like maybe 10 years old, and it wasn't super personal in that sense, but it was just like about having fun. Like cool wave, it gets you to the beat. Yeah, yeah, it starts to move your feet. And but the more personal stuff I started to write later, you know.
Hmm.
But that was like my fun kid song. my
Very nice.
first my
My
first kid
first
song.
song. That's where it all started. Victor, your sound also moves across genres very naturally. Do you think artists today benefit from ignoring musical labels?
I don't know really because I think when I was younger, I went through really strong periods of cultural music in London, and I think that I know today's genres are not so strong, but I think what came with it was an actual culture behind it as well. You know, you had the punk period in the UK and soul music from from the States. Before my time, it was the blues invasion
Hmm.
from the British artists, and it also came with a culture. So I don't know. I think there's something to be had for that, really, because you know, like, so because with punk music, it wasn't just punk; it was a political attitude.
Yeah.
It was a dressed sense. You know, the mod revival in the UK. You know, reggae, two tone was a huge movement in the 80s,
Hmm.
and they all had kind of also very much political stuff behind it. I don't really see that. Maybe I'm not connected to it, but I don't really see the a youth kind of political mixed with music. Like we had Rock Against Racism, which was
Huge.
huge
Yeah.
in the UK. I don't really see that now. You know, that the music is so connected to it. So, and I don't know if it's because it's kind of been more controlled by conglomerate kind of Spotify and stuff, and like a lot of that stuff was kind of on a grand level on the streets to kind of people, you know, even hip hop in the UK. But now it seems because it's the internet,
Hmm.
stuff can be shut off, you know.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't know, or maybe the youth of today are not so politically kind of inclined.
I think combination of both.
Yeah.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
But I think Michał was also saying about labels, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
About
Artists ignoring musical labels.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I thought you meant genres.
No, but that's
Yeah.
great that you touched on that as well. But
Yeah.
just the fact that ignoring the labels, do you think that artists benefit today from that?
I think personally you can benefit from it, but the problem is with musical labels, sometimes it's a way for when you go kind of more commercial, it's a way that it's easier for them to sell the artist.
Yeah.
You know, this is your label, blah blah blah, and that's really restricting. But there are very few artists that can kind of go far without having some kind of strong identity. That, you know, because it's almost like we need something, the press needs something, we need something as a background to this, you know. As a personal thing, it would be great to not have to have a kind of label on what you do. And what I've done is mixes, because I've been through so many different things in the UK, you know, that my music is jazz, it's funky, it's acoustic, it's kind of everything, you know, house and remixes.
And you rapped in the past as well.
I rapped, yeah, I did rap.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
Back in the day.
When you first heard Mika artistically, what stood out to you immediately?
I think a voice, the tone of a voice, because it's like, I think I said this the other day, the Mika's tone, you could take her, put her in the 50s, you know, with Billie Holiday and all this, and she'd be fine. Tone is one of those things. It's impossible to teach. It's like a boxer.
Yeah. You either have it or you don't.
Knockout punch or you don't.
Exactly.
It's really difficult to, you know, to do that, and it's just kind of one of those. And I love that. I love that idea of tone. I'm not really big on people singing really powerfully or really sustaining notes. It's a tone, it's an emotional thing that is unique, and that's what Mika has, you know? And you just can't do it. You can't teach someone that. You can teach someone to sing perfectly in tune, really powerful, you know, but it's just one of those things, and that's what sets unique artists out. It's like Bob Dylan doesn't have it's not a beautiful voice, but you know him. No one sounds like him. And then you have Billie Holiday, which is it's really unusual.
Yeah.
It's quite high. It's quite, you know, middly, but it's a unique emotional sound, you know. And I think that's what I saw or heard, rather.
So it's tone of her voice that sets her apart. Beautiful. What kind of artist did you think she could become?
I think what she already is. You know.
Well, of course she is.
Yeah.
Nobody's questioning that. But
I think it's. I think with artists, for me, the ones that kind of like you think, oh, that's a real artist, is because not only do they have the talent of the music, there's something behind. There's a personality that kind of sticks out. And I think for Mika, I always saw this comparison with what's her name? That does The Wizard of Oz, Judy Garland.
Judy Garland.
There's this emotional thing, or like Shirley Bassey, these old time, but laid all of their emotions out. You know, like we've done concerts before in the past, where Mika starts crying on stage, you know, I'm playing, because it's the emotion of the thing. And yet that's something you can't, you know, and they're kind of world beaters. They're iconic, you know, they're iconic kind of artists. And I think that's the kind of artist that Mika is. So we're getting there.
Becoming more of that.
Becoming
and
more
I'm
of that.
Jerry Lewis.
Do you think your artistic connection came before the romantic connection or the other way around? You touched a little bit on that, your first meeting and stuff, but
I think it was more of a kind of romantic, emotional connection first, because when we met on that on the sound check, the Smolik sound check, we were in the dressing room after, and I remember this chaos
There's a lot of
going
chaos.
on, the dog and this chaos. And I thought, oh, I'd really like to help out with this chaos, and I think that was an emotional connection that I saw, and I saw.
And when I saw him then backstage, I felt like time stood still, and I felt like, wow, this guy has a lot of knowledge about life. I felt like he was some kind of a guru or something, because like around him it was so peaceful, everything was so calm, and everything that was going on with me was just so all over the place and chaotic. And I remember that energy. I think on an energetic level, we felt each other first, and then the music kind of came out of it naturally.
nice, very nice. What do you admire most in each other creatively?
Creatively, I think Victor's ability to be creative in different ways, like the fact that he's a producer and a composer and he plays instruments. His what's the word? And that he paints, like the incredible amount of artistic inspiration he has in different aspects of art, to me, is incredible. I'm always really impressed by that.
Victor?
I'm really impressed by Mika's boldness, because sometimes I don't give that off, but sometimes I'm very controlled. Like the idea of like, should I do that? If I do that, it might be out of tune. It might be. And Mika is one of those artists I see that just like, let's just do it. And Mika's dad was very much very similar like that. Just to be able to just do things and let's just see where it goes, like especially live on stage. But I'm always thinking about what's going on, what's this, and to be able to do that is like what's the word? It's liberating to be able to do that. And there's few artists that do it.
Definitely.
That can say, let's do it. And because that's when the magic happens. That's when the special stuff happens. When you're able to just say, let's just kind of do this.
We did a gig in Bielane with the band, with Krzysiu Pacan and Sebastian Frankiewicz, and we just started jamming. We just made like a whole song on stage randomly. It's just like a groove, and I love that spontaneity, and I love that inspiration. That is so much fun, and it's why I love performing live for those moments. They're
That's
incredible.
It's like when we did the blues festival with Michael.
Oh yeah,
and it was horrific. It was like it's just like
horrific in a good sense or in a bad sense?
But it's just like genius, like because I think he saw. I played the guitar. It was maybe months ago. I was just playing guitar in the studio, and I think I just played a little blues thing, but I'm not a blues musician. Just played it, and that was months before. Just a snap of something, and then I was there with a guitar to play, and I thought, I don't know what I'm doing here at this blues festival, and they're playing jazz and all these fantastic musicians that Michael's got. I'm like, well, I've just got this guitar backstage. We're ready to go on, and just as we were going on, I'm like, oh, Michael, what am I doing? And he said, oh, you're playing a blues song. I was like, I don't know. Okay, let's go. And there's an audience, like, I just did it, and it was incredible. I was like, how did you know something that I didn't know?
That you could do that.
That I could do that. He could see that I could do it. And I just did it at a blues festival and everyone went crazy. It was just like, but it's that boldness to do it in front of an audience, no rehearsal, nothing. I don't know what key, just play it. And I think that's the same thing that Mika has as well.
Unbelievable. There are many couples in music, but very few manage to create together for years without losing either the relationship or the creative spark. Mika, what makes your creative partnership work?
I think,
Actually, that's a question for both of you.
okay, I think the bottom line is that we really, really like each other and we really, really feel good with each other. We can just be ourselves. I think that that's the most important thing. You have to, and to nurture the creativity, we always ask each other, yeah? Like, we're very, I would say, diplomatic. Nobody puts their ideas on someone else, either one way or the other. We always ask each other, do you like this? What do you think of this? How does this make you feel? So I think our approach and the fact that we just genuinely like spending time together and creating together. Like there's no pressure about it. It's just fun.
Yeah, I think also having a sense of humor and not taking it so seriously. You know, it's kind of like almost the complete opposite of taking it seriously. Realizing like you're just lucky to do this, and all the seriousness is just for these people. But really, when it gets down to it, you're just like, well, you mean people want to pay to see you on stage? Let's keep it going. It's like, really? Would I pay to see me on stage? Probably not. But it's have a sense of humor. Realize it's just like it just is what it is, and I think that's the main for me. That's the main thing. Not to take yourself so seriously. I think.
Yeah.
That even with the art, I'm maybe doing a project with a famous artist to connect to, but it's just in the art world it would be quite intense, the idea of it. But for me, it's just don't take it seriously. It's just paint.
Yeah, let's just have fun.
Because when you start thinking that way, then you start getting intense. We all start getting really intense, Like that's the side of Mika that relaxes me. Because I'm like, I've got to be in tune. I've got to do. And if Mika's like relaxed, okay, I can be relaxed with this.
That's also what my dad taught me about music: is to be yourself and to have fun. That's the most important thing. To have fun. So.
Yeah.
Who challenges whom more in the studio?
I think Victor challenges me more. If I can say, he's a perfectionist, and sometimes I'll hear something and I think, oh well, that sounds great to me, and he's like, let's keep trying, let's keep trying, another take, and like, so I go into that world with him, and then the outcome is always worth it. So I think he challenges me more. I challenge him in other ways.
Yeah.
I think maybe on stage I challenge him more when the insanity starts happening. He's like, Mika, what's going on? And then I start saying something in Polish, and I started telling a story, and he doesn't know what's going on, and it's like
that's a challenge.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting as well in the studio because, like, it is. Sometimes I'm like, let's try and do this and do this and do that. You work it out, but invariably, especially with the vocal, it's the stuff when it's the last take when we say, look, let's do 5 takes and let's do it right. And I say, okay, just do what you want to do. Invariably, that's the one. It's the take where Mika just says, okay, I'm just going to do something. It's like, oh, because you're not structuring it then. It's what's natural.
Definitely.
So you always have to do those takes where it's just natural, and you just find that's where the magic is because you're relaxed now. So
yeah. That reminds me of when I started telling that story on stage randomly about that woman who came up to us and told you, it was very strange. She told you you should dye your hair.
Yeah, why do you dye your beard?
Why do you dye your beard?
So, no, it's my hair.
It's like random story that I started telling on stage.
But our stage stuff can be like just comedy. Half of it is talking, half of it is joking.
Yeah.
You know,
Sometimes people ask the most ridiculous and crazy questions. It's like, why dye your beard or hair? Because
but we were
women
even
do the
like,
same, you know. It's like, why not? I do this to myself as well. You know?
Yeah, but we weren't even like at a party or anything. It was just some random person on the street.
That's
came up to us,
we
which was even weirder.
Yeah, it was even weirder. Definitely,
Platform. She was like, and I don't think she even said Dzień dobry. So
we were on a train
she wasn't like
station.
Dzień dobry. She just said, "Why did you dye your beard? Why do you dye your beard?"
So she thought my beard should be
I don't know what
blonde.
the point. I don't know what the point of the story was at the end, but I just have, some moments of talking about stuff on stage, and then we tell the story about Quincy Jones when we met him because I sang with him, and we tell some stories and stuff, and
that was crazy, Quincy Jones, and then we had dinner with just 4 people.
Yeah,
Quincy
just
Jones.
a few people and us. He invited us to dinner.
Where was that?
And when he came to Gdynia for the Solidarity of Arts, and he was the main artist, obviously, the legend, Quincy Jones.
Yeah.
And I sang I'm Beginning to See the Light with his big band. It was an incredible experience. It's on YouTube. It's incredible. And he invited us for dinner after rehearsal.
Wow. Great.
And we sat and we played him Follow You, the song, and he przybił nam piątkę and said, stay ghetto. He was like, keep doing it.
And he had Frank Sinatra's ring. That Frank Sinatra, when he died, he left him his signet ring with his Sicilian crest on it. Yeah, so many stories, like some we can't tell.
Why not? Why not? There are no secrets
come to
here.
The show.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
But I tell you one of the funniest things, because sometimes Mika says things and she don't realize it's funny, And when we played that jazz festival, and Mika says, now we're going to play a song by a man that I've respected my whole life and I love. You said, Michał Jackson.
Because we do sometimes.
But she didn't mean.
Yeah.
She didn't.
I was funny by accident.
She was going to say Mika
Urbaniak.
And everyone just started laughing. They thought it was a joke.
Nice. Very nice. I'll pay to see that show. Who is more perfectionistic?
Yeah, definitely Victor.
Victor? Okay. We both agree on that one.
Yeah.
How do you separate private life from creative work?
It's a mess. No, I mean, how do we separate private? I think the way that I think of it is that you put your hat on, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
It's like you put your work hat on, you go into the studio, and you do what you got to do, and then you put your relationship hat on. Then you take the hat off in the studio, and then you put your life hat on. So it's not like we've never had a situation in which we start arguing about who made dinner or who's supposed to make dinner tonight, or I don't know. I just think we just both get into the zone. We both kind of like we both get into it, so we don't really have a problem with that.
Yeah.
I think we can be very professional in that sense.
I also think that it might be that there is no real separation. It might be that we're just always in it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like even when we were relaxed, we went out to the other night with 2 members of the band. There's no real separation, but it doesn't really matter because it's almost like it's not work anyway. So I don't know.
It's work, but it's not. It's work related, but it's not work. It's fun and it's a combination and mix of everything.
Yeah.
Have creative disagreements ever become personal between the two of you?
Creative disagreements, have they ever become personal?
No.
I don't think so.
Great. Is there ever silence at home, or is music always happening somewhere?
Silence from music or silence from each other?
Well, we can,
ask
have both answers.
Yeah, of course. After an argument, it's quiet. and we both go into our own little worlds for a couple of hours. But I always try to make sure that when we have an argument that we don't go to bed angry. They say this,
Yeah.
That's
you
true.
know, so I'm always like, let's try to cheer up and let's try to make up and whatever. And sometimes we need to talk about something a little longer to get to make sure that the situation is you know, understood. And but yeah, silence happens definitely. And I like silence from music as well. Sometimes I think it's important to have a free mind from music sometimes, to be able to listen to new music and um, listen to music with fresh ears. So I go through periods of time where I listen to music all the time, and then there's periods of time where I listen to music less.
Yeah.
Yeah. Silence for me is really important, actually. And strangely, I don't know, you might have heard of this. I'm thinking of doing what is called Black Room. Have you heard of this?
Not really, but if I have to guess, it's just a totally silent room that there are
So I
no
think,
sound whatsoever.
yeah, it's like, imagine being in a hotel room and everything is there, your shower, blah, blah, blah. You familiarize yourself with it. And then they black it out, but it's complete blackness. There's no light, nothing. And no sound for 10 days.
Whoa.
They give you your food through a hatch, which is also, not, even when they open that hatch, there's no light. And I've just been looking it up and it just sounds fascinating. A lot of people I've spoken to, they say that's horrific. That'd be so scary. And they say that after 3 days, because you have no stimulation, some people, they start to hallucinate, they start to see stuff, and they're saying that it has a connection between, when you do that, what is reality? Because they're saying, are you seeing things or are you seeing other kind of universes or whatever? Because you're so stimulated, like all the light in, this is totally unnatural. At night should be black, but street lights and modern societies, you know, so I just find it interesting. A lot of people say it's really scary.
Yeah, that would be a nightmare.
But
for
they
me.
say it changes.
It is scary, but it's very interesting on the other side as well. Like I would be, I don't know if I'll be able to do it for 10 days, but why not do it for like, 2-3 days? I don't know if I would have been able to survive that period of time, but to try it, yeah, definitely.
The neurologists are saying it's resetting people's brains because the scrolling that you do, the light,
definitely. There was so much, impulses from like all over the place in the current world.
Stimulation. They have a couple, I think, in Poland. So
let's plan a trip.
yeah, people say their lives change completely when they come out.
All right, you go. I'll stay home and
Okay.
write some music.
What have you learned from each other creatively over the years?
For me, Victor has taught me that putting in the disciplined work, putting in the nuts and bolts and the like discipline aspects of music is worth the toil, that it's really important. And it's made me more disciplined. It's made me prepare better. Because like that off the cuff, it's kind of like bringing the order into my off the cuff, crazy improvisational doing whatever, and being like, well, putting in some order into it, like preparedness to a certain extent. So I think I would say discipline mostly, the most important aspect to my creativity, which is really important. Discipline is very important in creativity.
And Victor, how about you?
I think to let go. Mika's taught me to just see where it goes. So it's probably the opposite. To open up, especially live. Because I think sometimes I've been really aware of this has to be in tune, it has to be right, and just to be able to relax, and that's magic can happen in that moment. So again, I think Mika's dad was very much like that. Let's see where this goes, and I think that's what you've brought to me. That kind of to be able to
stress and discomfort.
experience
I'm kidding. No,
that
but freedom at
that
the end.
openness, it makes definitely her unique. Is there anything else that she brings emotionally into music?
Yeah, I think that also that, especially in live performances, I think it's what I was saying earlier about those iconic artists, that Mika kind of wears emotion on her sleeve. That the performance is really
Yeah.
real. It's really there. Where a lot of other artists can be really choreographed and blah 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 blah. So it can be a really emotional experience because you're just there living the songs, living the lyrics. So I think that's a really big thing.
Let me ask you this: as a producer and a partner, how do you know when to push her creatively and when to protect space for vulnerability?
I think it's just it's uh, it's kind of intuition. You have to have intuition and encouragement. Encouragement is really important, even when it doesn't sound great. No, but it always sounds great. But I think it's intuition of understanding. Um, it's psychology as well, because if someone doesn't feel right, they don't feel uncomfortable, they're not going to perform. It's best to make people relax. But I don't really believe in that kind of like really, really pushing to do that. I suppose, in some styles of music, you need to do that in order to, especially for vocalists, if you're doing rock or something, you push them till it almost the voice breaks. John Lennon singing something, but I think for most of the time, we do takes, and it's either the first one or the last one,
Last one.
and everything. Because the last one is like, oh, just relax now.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And the first one is like, oh, I'm just new to it. So, I don't believe in doing hundreds and hundreds of takes. I just don't for that. So
That makes sense. Mika, has Victor changed the way you think about music?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to be kind of the different styles of music I would listen to. He's expanded my horizons when it comes to styles, like rock music, punk music, just different genres that I wasn't normally like. Clearwater, just lots of different. Yeah, he listens to very, very, very different kinds of music, and it's expanded my horizons
Horizon.
on that.
Do you feel safer artistically when creating together?
Do I feel safer artistically when we're creating together? Yeah. Overall, yeah.
Overall, yes. One thing I really respect about both of you is honesty, especially because people often see artists only through performances and public images, not through the personal battles underneath. Mika, you have spoken publicly about addiction, emotional struggles, and rebuilding yourself. Was it difficult to become so vulnerable publicly?
It was. It was a challenge. It was a few weeks before the book came out. I had anxiety and I was nervous and I was worried, and the whole process of writing the book with Magdalena Adaszewska was a challenge. And the whole process, I think maybe it took about a year from the beginning to the release of the book. It was very therapeutic for me at the same time. And by the time we were doing promotion and I was talking about this stuff to people, there was an evolution that occurred and it became easier and I became more comfortable with these experiences myself. And it's kind of like I integrated. It was a really great way for me to integrate my past and my future and my present and everything and kind of close some doors and end some chapters. So at the end of the day, it was a really positive experience for me, though it was a challenge.
It was a challenge. Was there a moment when you realized something in your life needed to change completely?
Yeah, I think the scariest moment was, well, there were two moments. I don't know which one to speak about right now. Maybe, which one should I speak about? The one moment that's in the book, well, both moments are in the book, but one of the moments is when I blacked out and I don't remember what happened after drinking large amounts of alcohol. And I had a severely high amount of alcohol in my blood, and I almost didn't survive. And I was beaten, and my clothes were taken, my things were taken, and I woke up with blood all over me and bruises, and it was just a disaster in the hospital. It was just like so scary. And that was the time. That was the time. And I think my mother, she then gave me an ultimatum and said to me, either you go to rehab or you move out, because I was living with her at the time. And I was like 20, 22 maybe. And I think that was the moment when it was like really life threatening, because there's different kinds of addiction.
Yeah, definitely.
And it can personify itself with different masks. There's high functioning alcoholism, but that was just like, that was like really scary. So I think that was the time where I knew I had to change my life around. And then a year later, I was diagnosed bipolar, which I've been dealing with for years as well. So, but that was the time where I knew I had to do something about my health, and my bipolar symptoms were around and showing up, but because of the alcohol, I couldn't be diagnosed properly, so I had to stop alcohol to know what else was going on with me. So.
Did music help save you during difficult periods?
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gave me solace, it gave me comfort, it gave me a sense of not feeling alone many times, feeling connected to myself, feeling connected to these artists that had amazing stories to tell and had amazing philosophies that gave me strength. Like I remember listening to Lauryn Hill, Miseducation of Lauryn Hill, and how much amazing wisdom is in that album. And just that album especially really, really, really was like, gave me a sense of empowerment that I can get through this and that I can get to the other side. And also, I remember this song that Tori Amos once sang, Leather. There's so many different artists and songs that gave me so much strength and power in different moments. So absolutely, it helped me in my recovery. It helped me in my bipolar, for sure.
Did becoming more emotionally honest also change your songwriting?
Oh, that's an interesting question. Yeah, actually. Yeah, because there's certain things that didn't need to kind of censor anymore, and I could play with.
Yeah.
And so the album that we're working on together now is a different project, but there's this project that will come after this project, which I talk a lot about this kind of stuff, and the demon, the beast, and the madness, the craziness, and what it was like to be in a psychiatric hospital, and all of this interesting stuff. But that's going to be a little bit later, next year. But yeah, it gave me courage uh to open up about this stuff more courageously and more upfront.
Victor, question for you. What is it like supporting somebody through transformation and healing while also sharing a creative life together?
It's quite amazing, really. I was thinking about that today when we were going to the shopping mall. That we've seen quite big changes, like big things, and I don't know if most people see those things. We live quite an unusual life that I think seeing when I first met Mika to the person she is now seems to be a complete revolution. Like it was, how can I explain it? It's like stuff like speaking on the phone, like when I first met Mika, you really timid about this stuff. And now, so even stuff like this interview, or the other day you were on TV and I was watching it from home, the confidence and to have authority. And I think that the book has a huge part to play in that, because I think that with a lot of things that people go through, whether it's, alcohol or things happening to them, they almost take it as if they're to blame. But to be able to do that type of thing, to write a book and to say, look, this is me. I own it. I'm not responsible. I'm responsible in a certain way, but things happen to people.
Yeah.
It completely changes, and also you see that, like, because you were on TV for the foundation, you can help other people. And I think that I've seen that change in Mika, that she becomes an authority and people go to her. And even after gigs, people, I think for most people, just be like, can you sign this CD and do this? And then, but someone will come to me and say, look, my daughter, blah, 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 blah. It's completely different, So that gives Mika a sense of understanding and owning her life and being able to help other people. So like huge change.
That's fantastic. That was the first part of my conversation with Mika Urbaniak and Victor Davies. We spoke about growing up in an extraordinary artistic family, the pressure of carrying a famous name, and the courage it takes to find a voice and identity of your own. Mika also shared a deeply personal story about addiction, bipolar disorder, recovery, and the role music played in helping her through some of the most difficult moments of her life. Together, Mika and Victor showed us how creativity can connect two people, but also how love, patience, humor, and simply being present can help them grow, both as artists and as human beings. In the second part of our conversation, we will talk about what love means to them today, their lives between Poland, America, and the United Kingdom, and how different cultures have shaped their identities and creativity. We will also discuss their upcoming album, the pressure of today's music industry, social media, artificial intelligence, and why authenticity may soon become more important than ever. And at the end, Mika and Victor will share what they are still dreaming about and perform something very special together. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment, like this episode, and subscribe to Cosmopolacy podcast Rozmowy bez granic. See you in part 2. Kosmopolacy to niezależny projekt. Jeśli chcesz wesprzeć powstawanie kolejnych rozmów, zeskanuj kod QR na ekranie lub odwiedź stronę wsparcia. Dziękuję, że jesteś częścią tego projektu. Do zobaczenia w następnym odcinku.
On behalf of the host, thank you for tuning in. If you enjoyed this episode, I'd really appreciate it if you subscribed and left a review.